Hey everyone, welcome back to the Underbelly Hours. I'm Dan, and Adela is here for the interview, but we usually shoot these intros after the interview, just for time and whatnot, but she didn't have time this time. Or any other time. I'm kidding, I just wanted to say time more, but yeah, so she had to run after the interview. We're going to just jump straight into it. It's this amazing band called Boundary Waters. We're talking to the frontman, songwriter, lead, Mr. Awesome Guy himself, Andy, and it's a good time. So, you're listening to the Underbelly Hours in my basement.
Take off your coat, stay a while!
Alright. Woo! Hey! What's up, everybody? It's your girl, it's the boy. All sorts of things are happening on the show today. Alright.
Yeah. Welcome to the show.
Oh, it'll be a good time.
If you like what you hear,
Are you ready?
you can find us on Underbelly Hours,
All sorts of
on all the socials, where you get your favorite local takes on the local greats.
Here it comes. Ready? Sing it with us. All right. You ready to go? Yes. Okay, cool. Andy, you ready to go?
Yep, good to go.
Awesome sauce. Okay, we'll do the intro later. But for now, we're going to jump right in. So, welcome to the featured segment of the Underbelly Hours, the part you are all waiting for, which is, of course, our big interview. Yay! Today, we're interviewing Andy from Boundary Waters, a really great band from around the area. And I'll let Andy do a little bit more of the describing of his band and also just tell us a little bit more about what it is that they do. So Andy, welcome to the show. How you doing this fine Sunday afternoon?
I'm doing great. I thank you so much for the chance to be a part of this. I mean, I've been listening to the show and to the podcast for, it feels like, as long as I've had a band and been active, in the local scene, and, no one else is doing the kind of coverage and like the in-depth sort of exploration and interpretation and conversation that you folks do. So I've always been so grateful for it, and the chance to be part of it now means a lot.
Oh,
Well,
wow. Shucks.
See, Adela?
Thanks.
People are listening. Yeah.
I know.
Miss, is anyone listening? Let's quit every week.
No. I just want to make sure that we're like constantly evolving and reaching the most people that we can reach. But it's good to hear, Andy. That's really good to hear. Thank you for the kind words. And we're really excited to talk to you because your band, Boundary Waters, released a really, really cool album, EP album. Cause it's like 6 songs.
It's like right on that. It's in that conceptual gray area between an EP and an album. I call it an album.
All right.
I think what makes the difference between it's some condition of either like length or track numbers, or just like the range of different musical ideas that are presented in it. Like I feel like you would have like a 3-song album if each of the songs has a lot of density or ideas for it, and the runtime is a certain. I don't know. I've puzzled over this, and at some point I was like, well, it feels like an album to me, so it feels like more of a complete statement.
Right.
So
I think it's artist's choice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They get to decide. Because like you said, I mean, you listen to some prog bands and they'll have like an album per prog band will be like 4 songs, but 2 of the songs on that album are like 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
True.
So that's like multi-movement songs, and then you have some people that like it's a 6-song EP of 3-minute bops.
Mm-hmm. Very, very true. All right, so your new EP, or your new album in that case, Atlanta by Boundary Waters. But before we get into all of that fun stuff, this is your first time on the show, which means we gotta do a little game, a little icebreaker game here.
Okay.
Okay. And this is the synthesis game, which is one that y'all are very familiar with. I'm sure if you listen
It's
to
our favorite.
the podcast, it's our favorite to do with new, especially guests.
Yeah, it's such a good one to break a new artist onto the show and get them a little outside of the box.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yes. So, Andy, the rules of this game are we're going to ask you 3 questions about your music that are not necessarily describing your
Music-related.
music. Yeah, it's describing your music in non-musical terms. And then we're going to ask our audience to imagine all 3 of these elements that are non-musical in their head while we play the first track from your wonderful album. All right?
So, it's always fun. Last week we had a Wolverine in a dress listening to...
No, he was walking down the runway in a dress, and he also had Malort.
Malort, that's
He was
what it
taking shots of Malort.
Malort.
Hydro pack of Malort, yeah.
So that's what some of the imagery could
Okay. So,
end up being.
you give me categories? It's like a categories type thing? Okay.
Yes.
Well, you'll see.
So-
So Adela, you can start us off with the first question.
Okay.
There'll be 3 questions.
Yes. So first question, Andy. I know you're a huge tea fan, all right? So we're going to go with some drinks here. If your music, Boundary Waters, could be paired with a drink, alcoholic or non-alcoholic, any drink, what drink would you pair Atalanta, the new album, with?
Oh, okay. Let me think about it. It feels like the big branching off point is it alcoholic or not?
Yeah.
Because, that it feels like there's a lot wrapped up in that and about what the vibe is. Is it a party vibe? Is it a drinking away your problems kind of vibe? I think of this album as something that is sort of put out to help people sort of reflect and understand themselves and their experience or feel connection. So I feel like it's got to be a social drink, something you drink together. I'm gonna stay in the tea family because that's my whole world. Let's say that it's like a nice complex Dragonwell green tea, which I was just having recently. So I don't know, something that's got like you can just drink it and it feels nice. But if you like want to pay more attention to it, maybe there's hopefully a little bit more there.
Mm-hmm. I like that though. Yeah, like a complex green tea, like green tea that has different notes and it's like a high quality tea. Nice. Okay.
You guys are such losers.
I love Dan. We need to get you in the tea train.
I know.
Hop on the tea train, bro.
I go to Treadwell and just like, give me something with honey. And it's like, we can add honey to anything. I'm like, yeah, I knew that. I don't know.
All right.
Just give me tea.
So question number 1, that was what did you say? Dragonwell.
I said yeah. We'll go.
Okay.
I mean, and a nice green tea. We'll say.
All right. Nice complex green tea. Question 2.
All right. If your music could be the theme song, I guess, or like
Theme song.
if your music was just a type of board game or card game, what board and/or / card game would it be?
Okay. It can't be one of those games that like where it takes you an hour to learn the rules and your friend is telling you, no, I promise you it's fun. I promise you it's fun. Hang in there.
So everything might be on.
I feel like what we do is more accessible. You can kind of hopefully get something from it right away. But there's got to be a little bit more complexity there if you want to stick around. I don't know. Let's say. Let's go with. I was just playing chess this past weekend with my girlfriend, so let's go with that.
Okay. Chess.
Nice.
And by the way, I'm
tea.
terrible at chess. I can think 0 to 1 steps ahead in that game, so I'm like always just wandering right into peril. But
Dude, like same though, but it's still fun. It's still fun, even when you're not a pro. I think that's a good. Chess is easy to pick up. It's maybe hard to get good at, but it can be.
You don't
complex.
need to be good at it to like have to have a fine experience. That's my
right.
All right. Cool.
Green tea and chess.
All right, liking
Adela?
this so
Wait,
far.
this is sounding very. This is going in a very like high-toned direction. I don't know if we can really support.
I think this is great. All right, so let's go with. We did fashion last week. Let's change it up a little bit. If your music. I'm trying to think. Okay, Boundary Waters. If your music was, let's say, the theme song or the opening song or just somehow in the soundtrack of a movie, any movie that you like, which movie do you think it would kind of fit well with? Or if movie is kind of hard, you can also pick a genre of film. If individual movie is difficult.
So, what's tricky about this is that the bands, like, I feel like we go into so many different vibes and genres. They're just like, I don't know, we have a certain lack of focus and discipline, but I would love to hear our music over some kind of like wildlife or nature documentary, just like the instrumental sections where it's like just texture and landscape and like soundscape. Like that's a through line in all the stuff that we've done, and I feel like when we're doing those kinds of sections, I'm picturing landscapes and time lapse imagery and stuff, and like. So yeah, we'll go with some kind of nature vibe.
Yeah, okay. But like a more epic kind of nature thing. Like it's not very laid back. It's more like time lapse, or like here's like a jaguar like running through or something. Like, it's gotta have some sort of action in it, because it's in the instrumental sections, at least at Adela, it's very moving forward. The song is kind of constantly kind of pushing forward.
I'm picturing a helicopter flying into Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah, that's a timeless pairing of like imagery and the soundtrack. Mm-hmm. That opening section where the helicopter's flying in, you see it, you just
you start crying for nostalgia.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, this is beautiful.
Wonderful. All right, so to wrap it up, this is what you guys are going to be picturing right now in your heads. Okay, we want some green tea, some like complex green tea, like a dragon well green tea, for example. We also have a nature documentary, so maybe it's on in the background or whatever, or you're watching a nature documentary as it's going.
With some really good narration. You got to get a good British narrator.
Good, what's his face? David Attenborough is narrating this goddamn thing. And then also...
with a nice friendly game of chess.
Yes.
Nothing too intense.
Nothing...
The move counter isn't there.
Yeah.
No, you're not...
panic.
Right. There's no timer going on or anything like that. So all these things, green tea, chess, nature documentaries, while you're listening to the first track of the episode here on the Underbelly Hours by Boundary Waters. I feel like we should go with the single. What do you think, Dan? What do you think, Andy? Sour Patch, or for the first track of the episode? Or would you like to go with something else?
That's going to be your call, the things I've described sound a little bit more like, I don't know, like Sleeping Porch, or one of the more thinky kind of songs, I guess. But,
all right,
let's go with that one then.
Let's go with Sleeping Porch. Yeah. Here's The Sleeping Porch by Boundary Waters on
the Underbelly Hours in my basement.
episode. We got Atalanta by Boundary Waters up on deck. That's the big album right now that you guys have out. I also forgot to bring my vinyl, but they have a wonderful vinyl of this record that you guys can purchase. It's very, very lovely. I want to start off maybe the conversation with asking about the title, because when I first saw this album, for the first 2 or 3 times I was talking about it with people, I called it Atlanta. And it wasn't until the 4th or 5th time that I realized, oh, there's an extra A there. It's Atalanta, specifically. So where does the name come from for this album?
It comes from my desire to, introduce the band to the world with an album that almost everyone will mispronounce and misremember, which is... That's band strategy 101. No, that's a very common, if I were being smart about it, maybe I would have chosen something not so, I don't know, such a little trap. But so the first answer is that I came across Atalanta as a figure from Greek mythology. I came across this story and just the name, I don't know, somewhere reading something, and just the sound of it, the cadence of it, I thought was beautiful. And so it came to me just from an aesthetic place. I love the sound of this word. I love the rhythm of this word. I love the openness of this word. The reason it's the name of the song, and especially the name of the album, is that this album is somewhat wrestling with and telling the story of a complex relationship or a life-size relationship from beginning to end, and trying to just sort of make sense of that whole cycle. And I was thinking about where you are at the beginning of a relationship, that ecstatic energy, and the way that you create this mythology, not just around the other person in that first ecstatic period, but you also together you sort of create the mythology that the two of you live into, and that becomes kind of the story that you're creating together. And then down the road you have to sort of wrestle with all the ways in which that story can't sustain itself or doesn't map onto reality, or takes any of life's turns. So I wanted the album to start from the place of the mythology that we create around our relationships. So the invocation of the word Atalanta throughout the song is the lyrics to that song are creating the mythology of the relationship. It's two people saying to each other, this is who we're going to be. This is what makes us special and different than any relationship in the history of the world. And the rest of the album sort of follows the course of that all the way to the end. Mm-hmm. So it's a figure from mythology, and the actual story of Atalanta. Why that one in particular, beyond just the sound of it, there's just something in that sounded to me like a person who meant a lot to me. So that's sort of how that all came together.
Nice. Very, very cool.
And then now can we get into the album art? Because that also invokes a type of Greek not mystic, but majestic type of...
Yeah, it's like a theater setting.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks...
Except you have one tile piece missing from the floor. So, yeah.
The photo is something, it's by American photographer Richard Ross. He's based in Santa Barbara. I was actually in Santa Barbara on a work trip, and I was wandering around the site of one of my clients out there, and they had an art installation of his work, and I just from across the hallway was drawn to this image. And all of his photography is incredible. You should, Google Richard Ross. And I just felt drawn to this image, the striking red of it, the shape of it. And then at some point I was like, it's a perfect square. It's album art size. Let's and I felt drawn to the image before I had an understanding of why it would be appropriate. But there's a couple. First of all, it's a stage. You feel like the curtain is going to come up, so it's a little bit like, hey, we're the band. We're introducing ourselves to the world with this debut album. Here we are on this stage.
That is
But also you see the theater is sort of it's apparently from a gallery space in somewhere in Austria, and the theater's a little run down. It was like falling apart. There's like tiles missing, and like the ceiling is sort of falling apart. And I just like the idea. I have this self-consciousness with our music that like it's these big sort of epic melodramatic songs, but they're about just like a normal person living a normal life. So this combination of like the high drama, but the sort of tawdry reality of our lives, and like the way like music to me expresses that. It's like the way that you feel that your everyday life, you feel the drama and the epic nature of your everyday life through music. And I felt like the photo kind of pulled all that together.
Mm-hmm. No, that totally makes a lot of sense. And the vibe just matches too in general. There's something about the album or the art that's a little bit like, it's a little sad, you know? It's exciting, it's mysterious, but it is a little sad at the same time. Unrelated to the album, but I have to ask, especially given the way that you just described, like, you know, you're taking these very like cool, complex melodies and kind of drawn out instrumentals, and the subject matter of them is the melodrama of everyday life. And this is just me reading too much into the style of your music, but do you guys happen to be influenced by like American football or any of those types of
oh
bands?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, like there's I came to that band super late, especially for a dude of my age who like could have been there at the beginning. Like, you know, I was listening to music in 1999, you know, that was like, you know, out on the radio and off down. I mean, back in '99, I was deep in a pop punk and punk ska kind of place. But yeah, that's a band that's meant a lot to me. It got me really interested in playing clean guitar and finding the beautiful tonalities of just an absolutely clean guitar, and building intricate clean guitar kind of architectures that build on each other and loop on each other and just create so much space. Mm-hmm. There's so many ways that like emo bands have meant so much to me and have flowed into the music, and then there's a vocal style common to or across all the waves of emo that I can't really go near, and I don't know, I can't sing like that, but yeah, the guitar energy of bands like Mineral, American Football, even like, you know, early like Jimmy Eat World, bands that were sort of like a half a generation or a generation later than that, definitely made a big mark on
Jimmy Eat World?
Yeah,
they're good. I like American Football too.
And that guy is so funny. What was it? Atkins is his name?
I just listen to the music. I don't know.
Yeah. Right?
Jim Adkins. Yeah, that
Adkins?
is. Yeah,
okay.
He's the Jimmy Eat World guy.
Nice.
He's funny.
Yeah. I love you know, and your vocal, you mentioned your vocal. I think your vocal is perfect for things like this. Because sometimes, if I'm going to be completely honest,
do it.
Occasionally, I will get turned off from like emo acts because of the nature of the vocal. It's very sometimes it has like this twinge of, I don't want to call it whiny, but
it's
like
so whiny.
but there is that,
like
you know, like right?
Yeah, that's so like, but that's the genre. It's
right.
emo. It's emotional.
It's emotional, yeah. But your vocal is like it's
Good.
like as clean as like the guitar, right? You know, it's very, oh my god, damn. It's you know, you have a very beautiful, nice timbre to your voice, but it is like this like kind of crystal clear voice, and it's very clear guitar. And I like the word architecture you use, because for the songs that turn into kind of long jams like Sleeping Porch and Flowering Trees especially, right? That's an 8.5-minute song. You kind of build different parts and sections to it, right? Do you want to go into maybe talking a little bit how you construct a song in general, in Boundary Waters terms?
Sure.
You guys jam on stuff?
As you were saying, I just want to pick up on what you were saying about vocals in emo, though, because it's so true.
Sorry.
Like to call them whiny is, I mean, that's the baseline.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you start from that, and then you go towards cringe, and then to outright trolling.
Yeah.
And like, this is the genre that I love, you know. I was thinking about that recently, because it's like, people talk about like the 5 waves. They're like, you know, 5 waves of emo, going back to more like math rock or like hardcore bands, then sort of like indie bands, then like the sort of radio emo, and then like the revival, and now the new wave. And it's like, what makes these waves? What do these have in common? They don't sound anything like each other. The
really
through
don't.
line, as far as I can tell, is just a vocal style that your parents won't like. You know, it's like that the vocals are premised on like that there's authenticity in breaking the human voice. Like you have to push the voice until it breaks to express an emotion that is too deep to express through like pretty singing. And like otherwise those bands don't sound anything like each other, but they have that same ethos of like you have to break the voice to show how intense the feeling is. And I don't know how to do that, so I sing normal. Like people ask me about the band, I'm like, I don't know how to describe us. Sometimes I'm just like, it's sort of emo, but we sing normal. Like
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Can I add?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. You can tangent a little, sure.
Oh, that's a tangent. Yeah, but like this, like not only is their clean tones always whiny too, it's always like and like a lot of the melodies are very similar. Like they just have the same kind of contour for the melodies. But they made like the screaming sound super whiny too. But you can scream and have that like painful evocation to it without making it sound just like you're literally just gargling glass.
Well, some people perhaps...
Maybe I've just had I've heard really bad examples of the screams, but
I mean,
most
there
of the
are
time in that genre it's just like I think you just I don't know. But then they do it and they're not like killing their voice. They're still doing it like 20 years later. The ones that are doing it still. So I don't know.
The emo vocal style is like reasonable people will disagree about whether this is any good at all. You know, like.
Yeah.
Like I don't go around recommending bands like that to people because I'm just like, this is not for everyone, you know. If you you might get something from it, you might not.
Yeah, I think it also depends. Again, definitely when you start listening to emo bands is very important. If you're listening to emo bands when you're like 12 or 13, maybe some of that will stick with you because 12 or 13 is like apparently. As far as like neurology goes, it's when you connect with music, potentially the deepest moments of your life is
and
like
and
right
you're the
around,
most whiny.
And you're the most whiny, true, so you can relate. But yeah, wait, circling back to, because you were about to talk about...
Yeah, the question I completely just failed to answer.
No, you're good,
okay,
you're good.
So
Yes.
we apologize for all the emo bands listening.
Yeah, no, like...
You guys are great.
You guys, yeah, you know, we do listen to emo, it's
I just think, you know, you all suck.
Oh my god. But
I'm
I think what Andy said, you know, is good. Like, there's a lot of parts to emo that we really do like, but sometimes the vocal styles, it depends, you know. People will disagree on whether or not it's a good vocal style. But anyway, going back to Boundary Waters. So yeah, like, how do you guys generally go about creating a song? Because, especially for the long ones, like Flowering Trees, 8.5 minutes. I mean, you can probably jam that out, but it does sound like there's, like, clear... you know, sections, for example, to that
Yeah,
song,
that one's
right?
got, you know, three acts to it, and I don't know if I'll ever write another song that's quite that epic, but I just felt the need for that one to be the closer of the album and to be the sort of, in some ways it's the final word on that relationship story that I'm kind of exploring through the album. But our writing process in general, and I'm like actively working on sort of, you know, getting to shorter songs and more like less laborious songs. I think that's a good next horizon for me to be kind of like working toward. But so it's a real conversation with the band. I bring some initial construct or idea that, you know, has maybe 40 or 50% of a song, and it's funny, we have to develop it with like each band member kind of playing a different role, and I'm just kind of like the guy running between and like kind of bringing all the pieces together. Like I tend to, like, to me the drum energy like is the song. So like the song does not exist until the drum vibe and groove and energy has been figured out. So I often start songs just playing one-on-one with Clint, our drummer, who is just an incredible, versatile, extremely musical drummer. And like the song doesn't really exist until we've locked in on some kind of drum vibe for the different major sections of it that feels right. And then we'll start playing it as a band. And then like John Monteverdi, our bassist, he's like the most musically intelligent person I've ever met. Like he's such a wide-ranging fluency in different instruments, different genres, he's such a polymath musically. I go to him often to help figure out the structure of the song. How should it build? What should flow into what? When is it too long? What do we do this for 8 bars, 16 bars? We'll start jamming things together with the full band, but I'm like directing my questions to him a lot. Like, does this feel like it works, or should this part come before that part? So then we sort of nail down kind of the structure of the song. And then Tim, our guitarist, he's just this like otherworldly, like he plays guitar in a way that's different than anyone I've ever met. He's totally self-taught. He's totally like idiosyncratic. Even the way he holds his pick is like different than other guitarists I've played with. So I feel like his parts are the last, and they're the parts that like really dress up the song and complete it and bring it to life and just put things over the top. So like I start the process rolling and I sort of like shepherd it through that process, but like by the time it comes out, it's really got everyone's like craft built into it, and it's something that's so different than whatever initial idea whatever seed I started with. So yeah, it's kind of become an interesting production line that we take these things through.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I think it's easy. Like, it's really cool that you guys write that way, where it's like you're always thinking about the drums first. Let's figure that part out first and see where it goes after that. Because I think it's easy for a lot of artists to forget how like integral the rhythm is behind what's going on. Obviously, this doesn't apply to all genres, but
especially rock or anything electric, it's just it's so important, you know.
I think for me, it's always a fun exercise to like make a drum track first and see what that inspires from the guitar playing, or what pulls. What gets pulled out from that, because you switch up the drum beat and you just start playing differently. It's all like, for me, it's subconscious.
Are the song. I don't know. Like, to me, like they're the whole, like they are more than 50% of the energy of the song, and then everything else is like sort of completing that. And part of that is just like, I mean, you mentioned American football. They have such interesting drumming. A huge band for me is the Appleseed Cast, and like,
I haven't heard of them in ages.
The drum parts in every Appleseed Cast song across 20 years, and they've evolved genre-wise from emo to post-rock to, I don't even know what you would call them now, but their drum parts are so phenomenal. And you can tell, like, the songs start from the drum energy, and then everything kind of comes from that.
A lot of songs from a band that I love that do that is Motion City Soundtrack.
Motion City.
Oh yeah.
Their drum parts. Well, they've had 2, I think, now. Yeah, but the original guy, there's just so many times where I'm listening to the drum part is catching my ear more than the melody, which is really saying something, because like he's a very melodic person, the lead guy, Justin Pierre. But
Justin, yeah. That's funny. One of my when I was growing up in Minnesota, I was in this punk ska band, and there was the other punk ska band in town that we like playing shows with a lot. And their drummer was this beast of a drummer, and has gone on to, and he was the touring drummer for Motion City Soundtrack for a while.
Whoa!
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So like I feel continuing pride in having like this, very distant, several degrees of separation relationship to a guy who was a touring drummer for Saves the Day and for Motion City Soundtrack. Like, nice. I'm gonna clutch onto that just personally.
For sure.
Well, I freaked out when shoot, I forgot his name. Pop Punk Pizza Podcast.
Jacques.
Jacques, whatever.
L'Amour.
He said it with such an American accent. You always try and French it up.
Yeah.
You're always like, Jacques L'Amour. And he's Jack L'Amour.
Yeah, well.
But, anyways.
Shout out to Jacques.
He had Justin Pierre on his show, and I was like, what? You got Justin Pierre? What?
Yeah.
Anyways, but, yeah, back to the whole rhythm emphasis. I had a teacher at... No, I'm not done.
Right, I know. I'm just doing this, and so
I got this fun anecdote.
When you're done with your anecdote,
I want to give props to Paoli from COD. If anyone remembers that guy, I don't even know if he's still there, but he always said, he always yelled at us. One, that be Walmart greeters and that we should just give up music right now. That was the main thing that he really tried to remind us of every day.
Wow.
And after that, he then was like, why are you always, you guys are always so worried about the notes. The notes don't matter. It's the rhythm. The notes don't matter. Why are you obsessing over the notes? Fix your rhythms.
Yeah.
And then you might not be a Walmart greeter. And I was like, all right, Paley. But he's right.
And now you recognize the wisdom.
Yeah. Notes are notes. Whatever. You can arrange them however you want. It's the rhythm.
True. Speaking of rhythm, I think this is a perfect chance to play another one of the songs off of Atlanta, because Sour Patch, for me, the thing that's really struck me right at the beginning when I first heard the single is the way that the rhythm interplays, and it's like so important to the beginning. Even before you start singing, there's like this great little build up, and the drums and the guitar are so locked in. Because normally, drums and bass, you always need to make sure that those are locked in. But it's really cool to hear like the way that the drums and the guitar are playing the same rhythm right at the beginning of that song. And there's just some fun like offbeats and stuff. So I think we should throw that in here as an example of some of the drum interplay that happens within the Atlanta record by Boundary Waters. So, without further ado, here's Sour Patch by Boundary Waters on
The Underbelly Hours in My Basement.
Take him down, he's all around, with no way out, and you can't remember how that other world made sense, and everything weighed less, but you can't, you won't, you keep on waiting, when you tell me you never forgive yourself, when you tell me under an awful spell. More than any ancient question, I wonder if you remember your intention from underneath. You built this home, it's what you know, it's all you own, and you live there all alone, together in silence, the echo of violence that never leaves, and you can't see, you won't, and you keep on waiting, when you tell me you never forgive yourself. You tell me you're under an awful spell. to ride.
We talked a lot about the inspiration behind this album and some of the recording kind of songwriting structure of
Rhythm.
Atlanta, the rhythm and how important that is. I guess what is, you know, you mentioned that this is all about kind of a relationship and musing through the stages of a relationship. Do you normally like to write from personal experience, or are you somebody who likes to take like a story or a concept and you know, work through it in a couple of different songs and
Do you write in
distance
character?
yourself?
Do you go method?
Yeah. Method acting. Method writing.
That's interesting. I mean, there's an irreducible way in which like your writing always comes from your life and your experience, but I feel this is also something that's I can see across like earlier songs that I wrote to later songs. I mean, when you start, or at least when I start, you know, stuff is just straight out of the diary, and you can tell. Like, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
Can we quote that?
Yeah. Another Underbelly Hours quote right there.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh my god.
you get to a place where you could like have a little bit more of a craft around it. What I find is like let me just tell you where I'm at right now. Like the songs in Atlanta come from my own experience and my own sort of relationship experience mostly in the context of it was a 13-year relationship. So there's a lot to cover there. But I always find that like I felt a degree of liberation when I realized it didn't have to be just about me. So like Sour Patch is a song where there are echoes of my experience in that song, but that one really started more from an observation of a close friend of mine and something that she was going through. And I found little places to connect it to my own experience. There's some little like, you know, the director sneaking himself in as a cameo in a few places kind of thing, or like, you know, the painter like painting himself in the background somewhere. There's like a little bit of that in there, but I feel like I'm turning a corner from writing songs that really just come from my experience to like all the songs I'm working on right now are about friends. And maybe that's just from being in lockdown and missing my friends, or just getting through that personal experience that I needed to express. And now I'm like I'm doing better, and I'm just looking around at the people around me and like sort of picking up on things from their experience and finding inspiration there. So, yeah, like I think either way, like it's still all my little bag of tricks, and there's still, you know, going to be my instincts reflected in it. But I do feel my gaze sort of like looking outward more. Maybe that's just getting a little bit older and not being as caught up in my own little dramas.
Well, I wonder about the lockdown thing, actually, that you brought up, because I feel like I was talking to a couple of other people, too, songwriters who were not necessarily releasing stuff right now, but writing during lockdown. And I think a lot of them, at least from what the couple people I was talking to, were discussing this idea of, like, feeling inspired to write about more than just themselves, because they were doing essentially the same thing every day in lockdown. You know, you weren't allowed to go out, you weren't allowed to do much. So, you know, and how much can you like really reflect on and steep yourself in your own issues and your own kind of, you know, whatever you're going through. So was lockdown for you, and now switching gears a little bit to lockdown, because, you know, we've talked to so many different people who've had so many different experiences during the last year and a half or so. How was it for you creatively? Did you find that you had more time to work on stuff and were inspired to work on stuff? Or was it more of a time that, you know, kind of killed your creativity for a little bit and you had to put the pen down and stop songwriting for a little
Well,
while?
it's been going on long enough that there's probably, you know, entire months of each of those experiences across the duration of it. Gosh, I missed the band terribly. We didn't practice during it. We did some remote, you know, sharing. We hung out virtually and kept talking. We kept in touch, but I just like the feeling of connection that you get when you're just making music together was one of the things I missed the most. And without that, I felt like all I could do creatively was capture initial ideas and try to just like freeze them or get little voice memos of them or do little scratch takes of them on, you know, and just save them so that when we could play together again, I would have, you know, now I don't know, 7 or 8 song ideas that capture some of I wanted to capture some of the distinct experiences of the past year and a half, and just like not let them pass me by. But I kind of knew like I couldn't finish any songs. I could only get them started and then like be like, okay, well, we'll pick this up later. And now we're just starting to do that. We're just starting to work through this like backlog of little 40% songs that I captured, and we'll see if which of them or any of them become full songs. So that was really all I could do, and there were times where I couldn't even do too much of that. So yeah, it was. It's obviously been a difficult period, and I did not feel like it unlocked some you know, wellspring of creativity for me. I just felt like I just need to try to capture some of the feelings of this totally unique time, and hope we can do something with them later. And it's like, I think that's the best I can do. That's what I'll do.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So then when everything kind of did start opening back up again, everyone was really, really excited to go out and start playing shows. And I know that you guys had a show that I bought tickets for but couldn't go to because for some reason I had like a ear problem that was like killing me. But you guys had an album release show a year after your album release, because it released in October of 2020, and you guys had the release show August 2021. But that looked like a stacked lineup. You had OK Cool, you had a bunch of other artists. It was at Beat Kitchen, I believe. Can you talk us through what
the Beat
that... Oh, I know, right? It's so fun.
It's my favorite venue.
Yeah. It's so much...
It's so much fun. Walk us through a little bit of like what that felt like. So you had a year, you know, and a half or more of lockdown, and now all of a sudden you had that concert. The pictures looked amazing. How did you guys feel to be performing your album release show at that venue?
Well, first of all, thank you for buying tickets. That is extremely chill of you. I felt bad that you were in having ear trauma. I was thinking about you.
It was weird.
Laid up and disoriented. You know, you can't mess with the ears too much without throwing off your whole vibe.
I know.
Yeah, it can mess with your equilibrium.
It did. Yeah. It was just weird, dude. I do not recommend it. It was because I was stupid, and after like multiple years of like not doing flips in the water, I just decided, oh, you know, I'm gonna just do like a bunch of flips. I used to do this a lot when I was in swim team, and then it fucked up my ears so bad. Like for days afterwards, I could barely hear. I thought you just got like a
No,
it was so lame. It was so lame. It was literally from doing flips underwater. Wrong. So
that's unfair.
I know. It was stupid. Anyway.
Glad you're better. The show was a dream. I was like, it's funny, the day of, it was, we got the chance as Beat Kitchen was opening up again, filling up their schedule again, to put together a show with friends of ours, which is like about half of the shows we play are just bills that I put together myself with the local bands that we want to play with, and just it's a way of connecting with people, making new band friends, and just like kind of being part of the community. So I knew that I wanted to play that one with OK Cool and Splits, who are two bands that I just love. I mean, they had both released music during the lockdown without the chance to have release shows, just like us. I was like, this isn't, we don't need to call it a release show, but I want this to be a celebration for all three of these bands to just like get to celebrate this music that they've released. Both of their, EPs that they've put out really meant a lot to me during that time period. So I thought like this is kind of fitting. And it's a bill that reflects a range of genres, a diversity of perspectives and identities. That's really important to me in the bills that we put together. So, so it was, but the day of the show, I was just like functionally insane. I mean, there was too much on this. I had like family in town. It was sort of the album release. It was our first show in however many, year and a half. I was like feeling nerves about like, do we still know how to do this? We had had a friend filling in on bass who had never played with us live before. So I couldn't form a sentence like the whole evening. I was like wandering away to the green room to just kind of like breathe and drink water. I was like, we should have done some kind of like blow the dust off it kind of show, like in, I don't know, Green Bay or somewhere. Like we should have done some out of town show that just to kind of get the first pancake out, But
So
it was a total. It was a dream. All the other bands played amazing. We had a lovely group of people. I had so many family members there. Family members traveled from Minnesota to see this show.
Wow.
So it was just like feeling that sense of communion with this music community that I have missed so much. That has like been such a healing and a just life-giving thing for me in the past however many years. Like, chances to be in a room together, sharing music. Like I have gone to shows earlier than this one this summer and started to like, feel that feeling again. But getting to throw one was really special.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Let's throw in another tune here, because I feel like talking about epic kind of, comebacks and like the first time you play out after a long time, we should throw in the longest kind of epic song here on the album, Flowering Trees, which, by the way, I love playing sometimes on the Underbelly Review on Wednesdays, songs that I could never get away with playing on air otherwise. And I played this song, so I'm like, you know what? 8.5 minute song.
This song
I
on
did.
FM radio, and I was like, lost their mind. Like, this is madness. Like,
well,
the good people of Chicago who are tuning in for they don't need to be subjected to 8.5 minutes of
yes,
my
they
like
do.
melodrama. Like,
It's fun.
They do.
They
it
do.
meant a great deal to me, though.
For sure.
Well, and
No.
also,
Like, this is something that is only going to happen once, and it's happening right now.
well, the station you have the review on is like a pop station.
Oh yeah,
too.
so that made it extra special. Bro, we have
It's
songs that are
funny to-
2 minutes now on that station.
Really?
2-minute songs. So anyway, that's a whole nother rant.
It's just
Here-
like a and out. All right.
yeah, it's like
next
verse,
song.
chorus, out. But here's a song that's absolutely not that. It is Flowering Trees by Boundary Waters, the ending song on their 7-track album, Adela, right here on
The Underbelly Hours in my basement. Yeah.
Too much has happened. Too much has been revealed. And I came to see you as a part of me. Lifted my eyes. And that's when the water rushed inside.
That was Flowering Trees by Boundary Waters. And before we wrap things up, I just want to give Andy a chance to shout out anything coming up for Boundary Waters, whether that's live shows, streams, or anything like that. What you got going on in the near future?
Yeah, 2 weeks from today, October 10th, we have our next show. This one means a lot to us because it's a fundraiser show for the Breast Cancer Research Foundation, put together by Out of Context Booking, which is just, they throw the coolest local shows. So it's us, John Feen, Sugar Pill, Midwestern Dirt. It's Sunday the 10th at Downstairs Sub T, which is another, just such a fun place to play. So Sunday the 10th, that's the next show. Would love to see folks out there. I would just say, thank you again so much for the chance to have this conversation and for really just everything that you folks do to lift up local music. It means so much.
For sure. And
Thanks for coming on the show and sharing your amazing music. Thanks for making amazing music.
Thank you. Yeah. And so if everybody wants to find out more about that show that Andy mentioned, or also anything else that Boundary Waters have coming up, be sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Boundary Waters Band. They also have their music on all the streaming platforms, but especially we want to point out Bandcamp, as you all know already. Hopefully we love Bandcamp here on the Underbelly Hours, because you can purchase not just the virtual album, but usually artists are now putting merch and stuff on their Bandcamp websites as well. For example, Boundary Waters, if you like vinyl, you can purchase their deluxe vinyl for 20 buckaroos on Bandcamp.
Give them money.
Give them money. Yeah. And if you want to find out more about local musicians, if you like this conversation and want to hear more, or want to catch our live acoustic showcases and anything else that we do here, follow us at the Underbelly Hours on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. I can't say that with a straight face. And on all the streaming platforms. Every single time I do that, I'm sorry. All the streaming platforms, but also thanks to Ox Audio, who helps us put out our podcast on the streaming
Andy.
platforms. Andy's great. Go follow Ox Audio. You're Dan.
And you're Adela.
And this has been another episode of the Underbelly Hours.
In my basement.
Bye.
Good night, y'all.
Okay, that's fine.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, it's the boys. All sorts of things are happening on the show today.
So, welcome to the show.
It'll be a good time.
If you like what you hear,
Are you ready?
you can find us on Underbelly Hours,
All sorts of
on all the socials, where you get your favorite local takes on the local greats.